Hello everyone, and welcome to my General Hospital official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up.
The cold morning air settles over Port Charles as Tuesday unfolds, and the tension that has been simmering for days finally begins to crack. At the hospital, Elizabeth stands at the nurse's station reviewing charts, though her eyes keep drifting toward the elevator as if she's expecting someone she isn't sure she wants to see. When the doors slide open and Jake steps out with an unreadable expression, she straightens. "Hey," she says gently, trying to measure his mood. Jake looks at her for a long moment before responding, "We need to talk about Dad." Elizabeth swallows because she knew this moment was coming. "A lot's been happening, and I didn't want to overload you." Jake shakes his head. "Mom, I'm not a kid anymore. And nobody tells me anything until everything's already blown up." His frustration is obvious, and Elizabeth tries to soften her tone. "Then tell me what you want to know." Jake exhales. Is he really going back down a dark path? Because that's what everyone keeps hinting at. Elizabeth hesitates, knowing whatever she says will either reassure him or cause an internal storm. "Your father is struggling, yes. But he loves you, and he's trying." Jake scoffs, trying isn't enough when he keeps pushing people away. Elizabeth reaches out, but he steps back. "I'm going to talk to him myself," he says before turning and heading for the exit. At the Metro Court, Carly paces the lounge with her phone pressed to her ear, having a heated conversation with an unknown party. "No, you're not listening. If we don't get ahead of this, it's going to explode, and I'm not cleaning up the mess this time." She waits for a reply, her jaw twitching. "Fine, do whatever you want, but don't come crying to me when everything falls apart." She hangs up and tosses her phone on the table just as Drew walks in. "That looked intense," he remarks, taking the seat across from her. Carly sighs. "It's been one fire after another. And now I'm hearing that Sonny made a move he shouldn't have. Again." Drew frowns. "I thought he was getting things under control." Carly laughs humorlessly. "Sonny doesn't know how to stay controlled. It's not who he is." Drew leans forward. "What do you need?" She looks at him with gratitude. "Someone who won't let me jump off the deep end. And right now, that's you." Drew reaches for her hand. "I've got you." Meanwhile, at the PCPD, Dante sits at his desk glaring at a case file. Chase approaches quietly. "I'm guessing that expression means we've got trouble." Dante rubs his forehead. "Bigger than trouble. We've got a situation involving someone close to me." Chase reads the hesitation. "Sonny?" Dante nods. "Rumors say he's planning something reckless. He won't confirm anything, but the streets are buzzing." Chase sits down. "What are you going to do?" Dante exhales. "I don't know. I'm a cop. But I'm also his son." Chase places a reassuring hand on Dante's shoulder. "Then maybe start by talking to him before this becomes something you can't fix." Dante nods with a defeated expression. "Yeah. I know." Elsewhere in town, Sonny stands in his dimly lit office at Pozzolo's, staring at a photo of his family. Brick enters, closing the door behind him. "We've got movement," Brick reports. "The shipment they're expecting isn't what they think, but they're acting cocky." Sonny nods slowly. "Good. The more comfortable they feel, the easier it will be to hit back." Brick narrows his eyes. "You're sure about this?" "Because you've been volatile." Sonny's jaw clenches. "I'm doing what needs to be done." Brick holds his ground. "I've known you a long time. This isn't strategy, this is reaction. And that's when you get hurt." Sonny steps forward. "I said I'm fine." Brick sighs. "All right." But Dante's sniffing around. "He thinks you're about to go off the rails." Sonny's anger flashes instantly. Dante needs to stay out of this. This isn't his business. Brick counters, you're his father. Everything you do is his business. Sunny turns away, too frustrated to argue but too lost to admit Brick is right. At the Quartermain mansion, Brooklyn sits at the piano, her fingers dancing absent-mindedly over the keys as Chase arrives. You look like you're thinking way too hard, he teases as he leans against the doorway. Brooklyn turns to him with a small smile. Just trying to figure out how to tell my grandmother that the new project I pitched might cause some turbulence. Chase walks in and joins her on the piano bench. You never shy away from turbulence. Brooklyn nudges him. It's different when the turbulence is aimed at me. Chase wraps an arm around her. Whatever it is, we'll handle it. Like we always do. She gives him a grateful look. You make everything sound fixable. Chase grins. That's my job. Well, that and arresting idiots. Their moment is cut short when Tracy bursts in. If you two are done being adorable, Brooklyn, we need to talk about the music division's budget. Brooke groans. See? Turbulence. Across town, Sam knocks on Alexis's office door. Got a minute? Alexis looks up from her paperwork. For you? Always. Sam enters and closes the door behind her. I got a call about Danny. The school says he's been distracted and falling behind. Alexis immediately puts her pen down. Did something happen? Sam shakes her head. He won't say. And with everything going on, with Jason, with the danger circling again, I can't help but worry. Alexis takes a breath. Danny has been through more than most adults. Maybe he's just overloaded. Sam nods. Maybe. But I'm going to talk to him tonight. And if there's more going on, I need to know. Alexis softens. You're a good mother, Sam. You'll get through to him. Sam sighs. I hope so. At the hospital chapel, Michael sits quietly with Willow. She notices his tense posture. You're thinking about your father, she says softly. Michael nods. Something's coming. I can feel it. And every time something comes after him, it hits the rest of us too. Willow takes his hand. You don't have to carry that alone. Michael exhales. I know. But I keep wondering how many more times we can survive the fallout. Willow leans her head on his shoulder. Whatever happens, we'll face it together. Michael presses a kiss to her forehead, trying to believe her words. In another wing of the hospital, Finn stares at his folded hands while Violet sits in a chair next to him coloring. Portia approaches cautiously. How are you holding up? She asks. Finn shrugs. I've been better. Portia takes a seat. If you need someone to talk to, Finn cuts her off. I appreciate it. But I'm trying to focus on Violet right now. Violet looks up with a hopeful smile. Daddy, after we leave, can we get ice cream? Finn forces a smile. Yeah, sweetheart. We can do that. Portia watches the exchange with concern, seeing the cracks Finn is trying so desperately to hide. Back at Pozzolo's, Dante storms into Sunny's office. Sunny looks up with irritation. I'm in the middle of something. Dante snaps back, yeah, well, so am I. I'm in the middle of trying to stop my father from making a stupid mistake. Sunny stands. Watch your tone. Dante doesn't budge. Then stop giving me reasons to worry. Sunny glares. You don't understand what's at stake. Dante fires back, because you won't tell me. Sunny turns away, torn between pride and fear. Dante softens slightly. Dad, talk to me. Sunny's shoulders sag. I can't bring you into this. Dante takes a step closer. You already did. Sunny closes his eyes, realizing how true that is. At the Metro Court pool area, Jocelyn sits with Trina, who looks exhausted. Jocelyn bumps her shoulder. Okay, spill. You've been quiet since you got here. Trina sighs. It's Spencer. I thought I was done missing him, but then I saw something today, this old photo, and it all came rushing back. Jocelyn nods sympathetically. That's normal. You loved him. Trina shakes her head. Yeah, but I'm supposed to be moving on. Jocelyn replies, moving on doesn't mean forgetting. It means letting yourself live again. Trina leans back. Easier said than done. Jocelyn smiles. Which is why you've got me. I'll drag you forward if I have to. In a quiet corner of the hospital cafeteria, Jason sits alone until Jake walks up and drops into the chair across from him. Jason looks surprised. Jake. Jake crosses his arms. I want answers. Jason nods slowly. Okay. Ask. Jake stares at him, eyes filled with a mixture of anger and fear. Are you getting pulled into danger again? Jason hesitates. Yes. Jake shakes his head. Then why didn't you tell me? Jason leans forward. Because I don't want you in the middle of it. Jake's voice cracks. I'm already in the middle of it. I'm your son. Jason's expression softens in a way it rarely does. I'm trying to protect you. Jake responds, then do it the right way. Don't shut me out. Jason nods, feeling the weight of the responsibility he can't escape. I'll try. I promise. Jake looks at him a moment longer before standing. You better. As night begins to fall, the tension around Port Charles thickens. Carly meets with Brick at the Metro Court. How bad is it? She asks. Brick hesitates. Bad enough that you should prepare for fallout. Sonny's preparing for a strike. Carly's eyes widen. He can't. Not now. Not with everything already spiraling. Brick grunts. Try telling him that. Carly rubs her forehead. He's going to blow up everything he's rebuilt. Brick replies quietly, yeah. And someone needs to stop him. Sonny returns to his penthouse later and sits in silence until Ava walks in unannounced. You look like hell, she remarks with a smirk softening into concern. Sonny doesn't argue. Ava steps closer. You know, I've seen you unstable before. But this feels different. Sonny finally speaks. Everyone is acting like I've lost control. Ava raises an eyebrow. Have you? Sonny clenches his fists. No. But I'm tired of being underestimated. Ava sits beside him. Then show them you're still the man who can think before he acts. Sonny looks at her, the fire returning to his eyes. Maybe I will. The final moments of the night shift the entire tone of Port Charles. Jason meets Michael in the chapel doorway. Michael frowns. What's going on? Jason hesitates. Your father may be making a move tonight. Michael's eyebrows lift in alarm. And you're telling me because... Jason meets his gaze. Because if things go wrong, you need to be ready. Michael's heart sinks. Ready for what? Jason answers coldly. War. And as the doors close behind them, the echo of that word seems to ripple through the entire town, setting the stage for a Tuesday episode filled with fear, loyalty, confrontation, and consequences none of them are prepared for. The oppressive silence of the PCPD interrogation room was broken only by the soft, rhythmic tap of Detective Harrison Chase's pen against his notepad. He stared across the metallic table at the man who had, until recently, been one of his closest friends. Hamilton Finn looked aged, the fluorescent lights carving deep shadows under his eyes, his shoulders slumped in a posture of profound defeat. The vibrant, often brilliant, doctor was gone, replaced by a hollowed-out shell radiating a quiet desperation. I'm not saying another word, Chase. Finn's voice was a gravelly whisper, raw from hours of repetition. Not without my lawyer present. Chase sighed, leaning back in his chair. The formal title, Chase, instead of the familiar first name, stung more than he cared to admit. Finn, I'm trying to help you. But you have to give me something to work with. The evidence against you is substantial. Elizabeth Baldwin's statement is damning. She places you at the scene, in a heated argument with your father, just moments before he was attacked. Finn's jaw tightened, a muscle twitching furiously. Liz is mistaken. She's been under a lot of strain. Her recollection isn't reliable. Is that what you're going to hang your defense on? That one of Port Charles's most respected nurses is an unreliable witness? Chase's tone was not unkind, but it was firm, professional. He was a detective first, a friend a distant second. She was clear, Finn. She heard you shouting about the past, about Violet, about the poison. The word poison hung in the air between them, toxic and inescapable. It was the method, the coward's weapon, the very thing that had defined the darkest chapters of Finn's own life with his substance abuse. The irony was cruel and, from a prosecutorial standpoint, perfect. I didn't poison him, Finn insisted, his eyes pleading for a belief Chase wasn't sure he could afford to give. I wanted to confront him, yes. I wanted answers. But I didn't bring any poison. I didn't administer anything. When I left him, he was alive. Angry, vile, but alive. Then who did? Chase pressed, his gaze unwavering. Who had the motive, the opportunity, and the knowledge to use a toxin so specific it's barely traceable? Your father had more enemies than most people have acquaintances, but this feels personal. Before Finn could formulate another denial, the door to the interrogation room swung open. Commissioner Jordan Ashford stood there, her expression a mask of granite authority. Detective. A word. Chase gave Finn a final, searching look before rising and stepping out into the hallway, the door clicking shut behind him, once again sealing Finn in his sterile prison. He's not budging, Chase reported, running a hand through his hair. Sticking to the same story. Admits to the argument, denies the poisoning. Jordan's eyes narrowed. We have a credible eyewitness who places him there at the critical time. We have motive, a lifetime of paternal neglect and recent threats involving his daughter. We have means, he's a doctor with access to God knows what. The DA is ready to move forward with attempted murder charges. We're just waiting on the final tox report from the lab. I know, Chase said, a frown creasing his forehead. It feels too neat, Jordan. Finn has his demons, but this? Poisoning his own father in a public place? It doesn't track with the man I know. The man you know has a history of making catastrophic decisions when his family is threatened, Jordan reminded him gently but firmly. Don't let your personal history cloud your professional judgment, detective. The evidence is the evidence. She paused, glancing at the closed door. His lawyer, Diane Miller, is on her way. Once she gets here, the window for any kind of cooperative confession slams shut. Keep the pressure on until then. Chase nodded, the weight of his badge feeling heavier than usual. He took a deep breath and re-entered the room, the air now thick with Finn's resigned despair. Across town, in the sterile, quiet confines of General Hospital, the atmosphere was no less tense. Elizabeth Baldwin moved through her duties on the floor with a mechanical efficiency that belied the storm raging inside her. Her hands trembled slightly as she checked a patient's foredrip, the memory of what she had witnessed, or what she believed she had witnessed, playing on a relentless loop in her mind. She turned a corner and nearly collided with a solid figure. Looking up, she found herself staring into the concerned, handsome face of Hamilton Finn's brother, Dr. John Jagger Cates. His presence in Port Charles was still a new and unsettling variable in the complex equation of all their lives. Elizabeth, Jagger said, his voice low and steady. I was just looking for you. Are you okay? I heard you gave your statement to the PCPD. Elizabeth wrapped her arms around herself, a self-soothing gesture that provided little comfort. I'm fine, Jagger. Just doing my job. They're saying you're the one who placed Finn at the scene with our father, Jagger continued, his gaze intense, searching. Is that true? A flicker of guilt crossed Elizabeth's features. I told them what I saw. I heard them arguing in the hospital gallery. Finn was furious. He was talking about Violet, about how Gregory had no right to threaten his custody. He said he wouldn't let Gregory poison his life anymore. She swallowed hard. The word poison was used, Jagger. And then, not 20 minutes later, Gregory is found collapsed, showing all the signs of a toxic agent. Jagger ran a hand over his jaw, his expression grim. So you think my brother did it? I don't know what to think. Elizabeth's voice broke, the professional veneer cracking. I love Finn. You know I do. He's been a rock for me, for my boys. But I heard the rage in his voice. I saw the look in his eyes. It was a side of him I've never seen before. And with his history. His history is exactly why this doesn't make sense, Jagger countered, his protective instincts for his brother surfacing. Finn has spent years building himself back up from that. He would never use poison, Elizabeth. It's the one line he would never cross. It's too reminiscent. Then what am I supposed to believe? She whispered, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. That I imagined it? That I'm wrong? I'm saying there might be more to the story, Jagger said, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. And I intend to find out what it is. My father had a talent for making enemies. Maybe one of them decided to take advantage of the situation, knowing Finn would be the perfect fall guy. Their conversation was interrupted by the brisk approach of head nurse Epiphany Johnson's successor, a no-nonsense woman named Stella. Baldwin, there's a call for you at the nurse's station. It's the PCPD. They have a few follow-up questions. Elizabeth's face paled. She gave Jagger a panicked look before nodding and hurrying away, her heart hammering against her ribs. Jagger watched her go, a deep frown settling on his face. He pulled out his phone and dialed a number from memory. Diane? It's Jagger Cates. We need to talk. Finn's in serious trouble. In the heart of the city, at the Metro Court Hotel, the air was thick with a different kind of tension, one of corporate ambition and personal vendetta. Michael Corinthos stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows of his penthouse office, looking down at the bustling streets of Port Charles. His posture was rigid, his mind racing through a dozen different strategic moves. His wife, Willow Corinthos, entered quietly, her expression filled with concern. Any news? She asked, coming to stand beside him. Carly is with Drew at the DA's office now, Michael said, his voice tight. They're trying to get a sense of how strong the case against Finn is. If he goes down for this, it could create a significant power vacuum at the hospital. One that we can't let someone like Cyrus Renaud or even my own mother fill with one of their lackeys. Willow placed a gentle hand on his arm. Michael, a man is fighting for his life, and another might be going to prison for attempted murder. This isn't just about corporate maneuvering. Isn't it? Michael turned to her, his eyes sharp. Everything is connected, Willow. Gregory's poisoning, Finn's arrest, the stability of General Hospital, it all leads back to the eternal power struggle in this town. If we don't control the narrative, our enemies will. We need to be prepared to act, to secure a position on the board for someone we can trust. And who would that be? Willow asked, though she feared she already knew the answer. Me, Michael said simply. Or you. Or Drew. Someone who understands that the hospital is a vital institution, not just a pawn in a criminal empire. Before Willow could respond, the office door opened and Carly Corinthos swept in, her face flushed with a mixture of anger and triumph. Drew Kane followed close behind, his demeanor more cautious. Well? Michael prompted, turning away from the window. It's not good, Carly said, tossing her purse onto a nearby chair. The DA is salivating at the chance to prosecute a high-profile case like this. Elizabeth's testimony is the cornerstone, but they have more. They have a partial print on the glass Gregory drank from, and they're running it against Finn's now. They're also looking into his recent purchases, his access to the hospital's pharmaceutical supplies. Drew nodded in agreement. It's circumstantial, but it's piling up. And with Finn's history, a jury might not look too kindly on him. Jordan Ashford is under a lot of pressure to get a quick resolution. The media is already all over this. Michael's mind was working, calculating. So, Finn is likely to be formally charged. By the end of the day, if Diane Miller can't work a miracle, Carly confirmed. Then we need to move now, Michael stated, his decision made. I'll call an emergency meeting of the board. We need to discuss interim leadership and the future direction of the hospital. We can't afford to wait. Willow looked from her husband to his mother, a sense of dread coiling in her stomach. She saw the ruthless Corinthos machinery kicking into gear, ready to capitalize on a friend's tragedy. It was a side of her family she would never fully accept. Just, be careful, Michael, she said softly. Finn is our friend. We can't forget that. The best way we can help Finn is by ensuring the hospital he loves is in stable hands, Michael replied, his tone leaving no room for argument. It was the end of one conversation and the beginning of a much larger, more dangerous game. Back at the PCPD, the dynamic had shifted dramatically with the arrival of Diane Miller. Dressed in a power suit that screamed both expense and authority, she had taken immediate control of the situation. My client has answered all your questions, Detective, Diane stated, her voice cutting through the stale air of the interrogation room. She stood behind Finn, a formidable presence. He has denied any involvement in the poisoning of Gregory Chase. You have no direct evidence linking him to the toxin, only the testimony of a witness who admits to seeing only an argument. Until you have something more concrete, this fishing expedition is over. Chase held his ground, though he knew Diane was right. The witness is a highly trained medical professional, Diane. Her testimony carries weight. And we're awaiting lab results. Then you can talk to us again when you have those results, Diane retorted, snapping her briefcase shut. Until then, are you charging my client, or is he free to go? Chase exchanged a look with Jordan, who had entered the room silently. The commissioner gave a slight, almost imperceptible shake of her head. He's free to go, Chase said, the words tasting like ash. For now. But he's not to leave Port Charles, and we'll be in touch. Finn let out a shaky breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. He stood, his legs feeling weak beneath him. Diane placed a steadying hand on his elbow. Come on, Hamilton. Let's get you out of here. As they walked out of the interrogation room and into the bright, chaotic buzz of the precinct bullpen, Finn felt 100 eyes on him. He kept his gaze fixed straight ahead, on the exit, on freedom. But just as they reached the door, he stopped dead in his tracks. Standing there, her face a mosaic of fear, hope, and confusion, was his daughter, Violet. And beside her, holding her hand tightly, was Anna Devane. Daddy! Violet cried out, pulling her hand free and running to him. Finn dropped to his knees, catching her in a fierce, desperate hug. He buried his face in her hair, inhaling the sweet, innocent scent of her, a stark contrast to the grim reality he had just endured. It's okay, sweetheart, he murmured, his voice thick with emotion. Daddy's okay. He looked up at Anna over Violet's shoulder. Her expression was unreadable, a careful mask of support that didn't quite reach her eyes, which were filled with questions and a deep, personal worry. Anna, he said, his voice barely a whisper. Let's get you home, Finn, Anna replied, her tone gentle but firm. She glanced at Diane. Is he clear? For the moment, Diane confirmed. But the storm is far from over. As they stepped out of the PCPD and into the uncertain afternoon light, Finn felt no sense of victory. He was out of a cell, but he was now a prisoner in the court of public opinion, and the walls were closing in fast. The fight for his freedom, for his reputation, and for his family had only just begun. Later that evening, in the quiet, book-lined sanctuary of Anna Devane's home, the fragile peace shattered. Violet was finally asleep, exhausted from the emotional turmoil of the day, leaving Finn and Anna alone in the living room. You need to tell me the truth, Finn, Anna said, breaking the long silence that had stretched between them. She sat opposite him, her posture straight, her gaze direct. All of it. Did you poison your father? Finn, who had been staring into the depths of a glass of water as if it held the answers, looked up, his eyes wide with hurt. Not you too, Anna? I thought, of all people, you would believe me. I want to believe you, she stressed, leaning forward. But I am a former agent, Finn. I deal in facts, in patterns. And the facts are not in your favor. Elizabeth is a friend, she's a reliable witness. Your argument with Gregory was violent. The method was poison. You have to see how this looks. I see it, he exploded, standing up and pacing the room. God, Anna, I see it perfectly. It's a nightmare. But I did not do this. Yes, I was angry. I was furious. He threatened to sue for custody of Violet. He said I was an unfit father because of my past. He was going to tear my life apart. Again. So I confronted him. I yelled. I said things I regret. But I did not bring any poison. I did not spike his drink. Anna watched him, her professional mind analyzing every twitch, every inflection. She saw the genuine anguish, the raw fear. But she also saw the shadow of the man he used to be, the one capable of terrible things in the grip of his addiction. Then who did, Finn? She asked, her voice softening slightly. If you didn't, someone else did. And they did it at that exact moment, knowing you would take the fall. Who hates both you and your father enough to orchestrate this? Finn stopped his pacing, running his hands through his hair in frustration. I don't know. Cyrus Renaud? He's always looking for leverage. Maybe someone from my past? Or his. Jagger has been digging into some of Gregory's old business dealings. Maybe he stirred up a hornet's nest. Jagger, Anna repeated, a new thought occurring to her. Where was your brother during all of this? Finn blinked, thrown by the question. Jagger? I don't know. He said he was following a lead on one of Gregory's old associates. Why? You can't possibly think Jagger had anything to do with this? I think, Anna said carefully, that in a situation like this, everyone with a connection is a potential suspect until proven otherwise. Even family. The suggestion hung in the air, ugly and unsettling. Before Finn could formulate a response, his phone buzzed on the coffee table. He glanced at the screen, his face hardening. It's the hospital. It's about my father. At General Hospital, the critical care unit was a hive of controlled urgency. Gregory Chase's condition had taken a sudden and dramatic turn for the worse. The mysterious toxin, which had initially induced a paralytic state mimicking a coma, was now attacking his central nervous system with renewed vigor. Alarms blared softly at his bedside as his heart rate spiked and then plummeted. His son, Dr. Terry Randolph, was overseeing the code blue, her voice calm but firm as she directed the team of nurses and residents. He's in V-Tach. Prepare for defibrillation. Charge to 200 joules. Clear. The paddles were applied to Gregory's chest, his body arching slightly from the bed with the jolt of electricity. The monitor continued its frantic, irregular beeping. No change. Charging to 300. Clear. Another jolt. Another failed attempt to pull him back from the brink. Jagger Cates stood just outside the room, his face a mask of grim fury, watching his father's life flicker on the monitors. He felt a presence beside him and turned to see Finn and Anna arriving, their faces pale with alarm. What's happening? Finn demanded, his doctor's instincts kicking in, his personal feelings momentarily set aside. He's crashing, Jagger said, his voice rough with emotion. Whatever you gave him, brother, it's finishing the job. Finn recoiled as if struck. I didn't do this, Jagger. For God's sake, he's our father. A fact you never seemed too thrilled about. Jagger shot back, stepping into Finn's space. You made your hatred for him perfectly clear. Now he's dying, and you're the one standing over him with the motive and the means. the two brothers stood toe-to-toe, the air crackling with a lifetime of resentment, rivalry, and now, the terrifying prospect of patricide. The medical team worked frantically behind them, a stark contrast to the frozen tableau of familial collapse in the hallway. "That's enough!" Anna's voice cut through the tension, sharp and authoritative. She stepped between them. "This is not helping anyone, least of all your father. Save the accusations for the police. Right now, he needs his sons, not more conflict." Just then, Terry Randolph emerged from the room, pulling off her gloves, her expression exhausted and somber. The brothers immediately turned their attention to her. "Well?" Jagger asked, the single word loaded with dread.